What's going on, family? Sir here. And today I want to provide you with a live stream talking about the housing market. We're going to talk about if the market is already started to crash. We've seen headlines of that recently. And we're going to talk about rent and renting versus owning and what you need to know regarding both. Because I just put out a video talking about how it's wise to own, but I want you to know what comes with ownership. So we're going to look at all of that today, and then we're going to take questions, comments. Please, if you're here, drop a like, leave a comment, share it with a friend, a colleague. I appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, we talk about real estate, money on this channel, and occasionally we talk about the Carolinas. So let's jump in and talk about this housing crash, and has it started already? Friday, some housing numbers came out and they talked about a huge decline in home sales. So let's get into it and why I think that decline occurred and how the mainstream media is portraying it and how different YouTubers are going to capitalize on this talking about a housing crash. So let me get into this article. Bear with me. I'm still trying to learn how to do this. That is not what I want. Here we go. This is what I want. So on Friday, home numbers came out and it talked about home sales being far less than what was expected. And then they also talk about mortgage rates and how it increased, but then it talks about how supply tightened. So when you see this headline about home sales fell short, they didn't meet expectations in February, we have to dive in and look at it. So when we look at it, I'm looking at the comments. How you doing, Pierre, Aisha, Seasider? Thanks for watching. Miss Cam from PA, thank you for joining. So when we jump in and look at the numbers and the data that came out this past Friday talking about February numbers, one has to peel back the curtain and they're going to talk about rising interest rates and how that preceded or caused the low sales. Well, one thing I love about real estate and the housing market is that nothing happens all of a sudden. You're able to see what's coming around the corner for the most part if you're paying attention. So homes that sold in February actually went under contract probably in December or in January. So the headline where they're talking about as mortgage rates rose, that's misleading because mortgage rates in December were actually very low. And yes, they started to creep up in January, but that's not the cause for the mortgage rates right now, presently, is not the cause for the low sales in February. The biggest thing to contribute to the low sales is the lack of supply. There just wasn't enough homes. And when you think historically, the slow times of the year where there's just traditionally less homes being bought and sold is November, December, January, February. Why? Because that's the holidays, it's winter. Not many people go out or want to go out or be disturbed trying to find a home and move. Oh, we got a super chat. Thank you, Ashley, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Oh man, I think that's my first super chat. Wow, I feel honored. Thank you, thank you. Got distracted. What was I talking about? Oh, during this time of year in February, think about it. It's winter time. The holidays just passed. You're not wanting to move, and in order to move or a home to sell in February, you would have had to go under contract in December or early January, right during the holidays or right after the holidays. And for a lot of people, if you don't have to, you really don't move during that time. So that is another contributing factor on why home sales actually fell in February. And once you dive into the article, here we go. It talked about how it fell shorter than what was expected. And I'm not sure if you can see this or if my cursor is over it. So the expectation was of home sales was 6.13 million units. And what actually came in was 6.01 million units. So it came down in home sales. Yes, units dropped. But when we look at it and go do a deeper dive into the numbers, I'm trying to get it. I have a slide. Here we go. So what they didn't tell you is that housing inventory dropped by 15.5%, just over 870,000. So, yes, we didn't meet expectation, but there was just about that amount of inventory less on the market. So we could not sell or meet expectation. Real quick, I want to shout out Christina Smallhorn. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. I am doing, you don't know this, I'm doing this live stream right now for, well, two reasons. I was on her live stream. She encouraged me, and I was very nervous. And I'm still not totally comfortable doing live streams, but I was very nervous. But she has been a mentor, and I appreciate her. And I'm doing it right now because she has a live stream starting at 4:30 Eastern time. So I'm going to be done around 4:15, 4:20, so I can jump on and watch hers. So, hey, Christina, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. And in a couple weeks, I plan on joining you on your channel as well. So the headline where people are going to be putting out for the next week, talking about home sales decline, crash videos, and a housing market is in turmoil. The biggest issue is inventory. Housing inventory dropped by 15.5% to just about the exact number that was needed for us to meet expectations for home sales. So that whole myth as far as the housing market is faltering because of the February numbers that came out, that's just that. It's a myth. What are we talking about? Oh, this is another thing I want to talk about, and why I believe we will continue to see low inventory, because it talked about, well, February came out, sale of U.S. previously owned homes declined to a 6-month low. A 6-month low for previous home sales. Going on for the next year, or I say 2 or 3 years, we're going to continue seeing this. There's going to be a lot less homes for sale that are previously owned, meaning not new construction. Why is that? Because over the past 2.5 years, not everybody, a large majority of people who had homes either bought them at low interest rates or refinanced to a lower interest rate. So with interest rates going up and home prices going up, what incentives does that person have to put their house on the market? So we will have very low inventory for resale homes, and people are going to spend it several different ways, talking about, again, a housing crash, but it really comes down to numbers and people's finances. If you locked in a mortgage or an interest rate at 2 whatever or 3 point whatever in the past 2-3 years, why would you, unless you had to, unless a life event occurred, a relationship broken up, got divorced, you moved for a job, life still occurs. But barring that, why would you sell and have to pay more for a home, and your interest rate right now, interest rates are 4.4, 4.5, and have a significant boost in your interest rate? Your payments will be astronomical compared to what it is right now. So a lot of people are not going to list their home. So you will see less inventory for the previously owned homes on the market. Now, one thing I do know is that a lot of home builders plan on building a lot this year. Plan, I say, because they have been facing a lot of challenges and headwinds where in the beginning of the year, I really thought we were getting past the supply chain issues. Turns out nobody really saw a war coming. So here we are. We're still dealing with major supply issues. And I talked to one of the representatives for in the Charlotte area, a rep for one of the largest home builder in America. And he was talking about delays for several of their communities throughout North Carolina. They're having issues getting simple things like drywall. How can you build a home without drywall? So they're experiencing that now. And my experience is once they experience it, about a month, 6 weeks later, the rest of the home builders experience those delays. So while I believe new home builders plan on releasing a lot of inventory this year due to supply chain issues, material issues, having competent workers, that is going to cause a delay and also restrict inventory as well. Let me go back. So talked about that. Now I want to talk about, hey, what's up, Christina? I want to talk about rents and how they have skyrocketed, but then also talk about renting and owning and what you should look for, or what you have to look forward to regarding both. So I recently got a call from a gentleman here actually it was a text here in North Carolina, and he was frustrated, very frustrated. And he was telling me what I should talk about on my channel. And those that know me know I don't really take too kindly of people telling me what to do. I'm like, hold on, I don't even know your name. Can we at least have a conversation? Can we speak about this? You're just yelling at me, telling me what I need to talk about. Well, I understood his passion. I understand why he was so frustrated. And he was frustrated because he was an elderly, he's a senior citizen, and North Carolina doesn't have rent controls. And I'm not sure where you are in the country, if your state, locality has rent controls, but North Carolina, we don't have rent controls. So he was really, really distraught talking about being priced out of the rental market. And initially, my initial thought was, this is exactly why I want people to own. I want people to get into home ownership so they do not have to worry about their landlord or property manager coming in one day and just jacking up the rent. And this is an article from talking about Greensboro, how seniors in an apartment complex are being priced out. Their rent was $575 a month, all the way up to $675 a month. Well, the property management company came in and let them know, you know what? We are raising your rent to $1,230 a month. That is more than double the low end. So once I took a step back and heard him out, I totally get what was going on, and I felt his pain. What can be done about it? I'm not quite sure. Yes, affordable housing can be created. We can put rent controls in, but I'm not quite sure how I feel about rent controls. Again, I'm a real estate agent and an investor, but reason why I'm not sure how I feel about it, I'm just being honest with you, is we say we are a capitalist society. Free market determines things on one hand, and then on the other hand, we're like, no, we need to control the market and tell people what they can do with their property. So I'm on the fence. I believe it is a blurry line, Ms. Cam. But I totally understand where that gentleman was coming from. And if you're watching right now, I know we spoke via text, but I want it publicly. I know the conversation wasn't public, but I want to publicly tell you I understand what you're saying, understand where you're coming from, and my initial reaction to you, because you were just like going off, um, wasn't kind. So I apologize. It wasn't rude or anything, but I kind of brushed it off. So I apologize to you. Uh, but that is why I believe home ownership is the way to go. Whether you're owning just your own home or your home and rental property, if you have a heart, not have a heart, I'm not going to say landlords don't have hearts, but if you believe that, hey, this jump is just astronomical, we're not going to do it, then as the person of the owner of that property, you can tell the property management company, you know what, that double price from 575 to 1230, we're not going to do that. Let's go to 800. Let's go to 900. Whatever is comfortable for you, whatever you believe is fair or reasonable, you can do that because you own the property and you're telling the property management company what to do. But if you are just relegated to having to do whatever somebody else says and you don't own the property, we we should understand that America understands two things. They respect two things. They respect ownership of property, and they respect businesses. So, and ownership of businesses. So, unless you own one of those or both of those, you're getting the short end of the stick in regards to our tax law and being able to have a voice, a real voice. So, home ownership isn't just about, yes, it is about having a place to raise your family, having security, but it's about having a seat at the table to me. So that is why I encourage it and will continue to encourage it. But I will say, and that transitions over in a second to the next topic about the pros and cons, or what the cons of ownership and what you have to look forward to. One more thing, though, talking about rent. I saw this article about a tenant hit with a. This is, I have to laugh because to not cry. Can you imagine your rent being increased $6,400? And I'm like, you're told, hey, I want to renew my lease. Or you're going to them, hey, I want to renew my lease. And they're like, yes, it's an additional $6,400 a month. That is absolutely ridiculous. And this happened in Vegas. This is not Greensboro or anything like that. This happened in Vegas. But his rent was just under $1,500, and then went to renew it, and it is just under $7,800, almost $7,900 a month. That is absolutely insane. It's bonkers. $7,900 a month. I can't fathom that. I can't fathom that at all. So again, this is why I stress home ownership and why I believe home ownership is vital just for your own stability and your own peace of mind. So you don't have to be worried about somebody else. Um, with these increased interest rates, it is going to cause some people to bow out of the housing market. And what I'm seeing right now is that homes that are not in tip top shape, homes that are not all the way done up, those sellers are still wanting top dollar. But what I'm seeing is they're not getting it. Well, at least not initially, not right away. Those homes are sitting on the market for a little longer now. Again, it's relative. Instead of selling in 5 days, it might sell in 15. But then the seller has to be more reasonable because they came out the gate with the price astronomically high, thinking they're going to ride the wave for the past 2 years. Well, we're not in the past 2 years because interest rates have gone up. And the amount of people that can afford that same property has come down. So that person is being more realistic with their price. You're still seeing price increases overall, but it's not the astronomical increase as far as 15, 18% like it has been. So If you're looking to buy, please be patient. That is coming. And look where other people are not looking. Look at homes that have been on the market for 10 plus days that may need some work. That is where you will be able to find opportunity if you don't have that huge money for deposit, or maybe if you have an FHA loan. Those are things for those are opportunities waiting for you to take advantage of them. Or you can always go outside of the city limits in the suburbs, or where it's more rural. You find more opportunities and more cost effective properties as well. Hey, Timothy from South Carolina closed on his home in December. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. And congrats on being a first time homeowner. Let me I'm not taking questions. This was a statement. I just want to shout them out for doing the work, being diligent, and staying with it, and finding a home, buying a home, and first time home buyer. So happy birthday and congratulations. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Um, One thing I do want to say real quick, or just ask, and then I can probably going to be a topic for another video, is what do you feel about stipulations, selling stipulations? If you're selling in a community or HOA, how do you feel about that HOA, the HOA covenants telling you, no, you cannot sell to an investor? An investor cannot buy in this community. How do you feel about that? I'm not quite sure how I feel. Again, it's blurry, because once you take away the investors, that's obviously going to drive demand down, because a lot of investors want to jump into the market and take advantage of buying property and get that amazing rent. But let's say you're a home seller. If you're a home seller, you want the most money possible for your property. Most of them, most home sellers. I have home sellers that took less because they're selling it to an individual as opposed to an investor. But sometimes investors will pay much more. And as a home seller, you might be missing out on 10, 15, $20,000 because additional, because they can't buy in your community. Now I get it. It will benefit home buyers, but it will also be a detriment to home sellers. So how do you feel about it? Um, Again, I want to talk about that on a future video, because I am on the fence. I want to dive into it a little more, because I get why it's a positive thing. It allows more homeowners, owner occupants, to get into the real estate game, and to get that appreciation, own a home, get that security. And it did start here in the Charlotte area, and I just want to do more research and think and see how it has expanded, or if it will expand. Now, I want to talk about, give me 1 second. Again, I'm not, Tom, you got people congratulating you. I want to talk about renting and owning, and the costs that people don't consider when owning a home. And before getting into that, I want to preface that by saying, if you're in the market to own a home, to buy a home right now, and you've gotten pre-approved, but you haven't gotten a property under contract, if you have not gotten pre-approved in the past, I'll say 2 weeks, I believe that you should do so. You should reach out to your lender and see what exactly is going on, because mortgage interest rates have shot through the roof. And if you were pre-approved at 450 in January, and that was your top of your budget, you might not be pre-approved at 450 now, because once the interest rates go up, that decreases your purchasing power. So I do not want you to get under contract for a home and your real estate agent submits that pre-approval, and then once you get everything, you're excited, you order the appraisal, you do everything, the inspections, and then when it comes down to it, for your loan to get processed, you're not able to. I don't want that to happen. So talk to your mortgage broker if you haven't in the past couple of weeks, and make sure that whatever your pre-approval amount was, that it is still valid in this different day and age with increased mortgage interest rates. So check that out. So with rent, we just talked about rent. The downside of that is you're subject to somebody else and their whims. If they want to increase the price by double, which we saw in Greensboro, or if they want to increase the price by $6,400 a month, which we saw in Las Vegas just now, that is a downside. You have no control. The positives with rent is technically you don't have to worry about property insurance or taxes, or maintenance. It depends on your rental agreement. I say you need to really find with a fine tooth comb, go over your rental agreement, but typically you don't have to worry about maintenance. If the refrigerator goes out or if there's a plumbing issue, you just call the landlord. You don't have to not have to worry about it, but they will take care of it. It's their expense. However, what I will say, and just a caveat when I said you don't have to worry about property insurance, a lot of landlords, myself included, we require that the tenant obtain property renters insurance. So you still have the rent payments every single month, but then you also have your rental insurance, and you have to prove that that is current and that you have that on your home. So insurance it's a wash. Property taxes, technically you don't have to pay it. However, as a landlord, we're going to put that, if my property taxes increase, I am definitely passing that along to the tenant. So you are technically paying property taxes, but I guess you're not. Now, regarding owning, the challenges or different things you have to think about regarding owning is just that. If you own a property, yes, you lock in your principal and interest. But one thing many people aren't talking about is property insurance is going up. There's a lot of just Mother Nature, natural disasters happening in this world. And property insurance is going up. It's going up in certain areas of the country. It's going up astronomically. So that's something you need to be aware of. So that's a downside or something you need to be cognizant of. Property insurance, that's not a constant expense. It will fluctuate. It may go down, it may go up depending on where you are in the country. And then property taxes. If you're here in North Carolina, our properties are assessed every 8 years. So you have that solid base for 8 years. But if you're in other parts of the country, such as different parts of Georgia, they assess their property taxes every year. So you have that fluctuation as well. So while I say you have a fixed price, theoretically, principal, your payment, your interest payment is fixed. What could change is your property taxes and insurance taxes. So those things can deviate. So I want you aware of that when you go into buying a home. So let me see, there's a couple questions here. Query, is it true they can only increase rates upon a renewal? Yes, that is, yes. They only can increase rental rates upon a renewal. However, you just have to be on top of it and see how long your rental agreement is. A lot of times people let their rental agreements expire, so then technically you're on a month to month. And that landlord or property management company can come to you at any time and say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're giving you notice. The next month, this is our rate. Either you can sign, get an extension with that, I say improved, or actually that rate increase, or you can, find another place to live. So make sure you lock it in. And in the previous video I just did, I told you in this market right now, we're in inflationary environment. You have to, if you're not going to buy, I say lock in your rental rates, your rental agreement for 2 to 3 years. You don't want that going up every year for the next, 2-3 years. So lock it in for as long as you can during this time. Second, I think this is a statement. I couldn't afford in my area. Yeah. In the area I'm in right now, in Charlotte, when I moved here, 3 years ago? Actually, I lived here 10 years ago, but then I came back to the area 3 years ago. Rents here in my neighborhood was going for about $1,400-$1,500. Right now, if I rented out my property, I could get $3,600 a month. It's absolutely crazy. Rents have gone crazy. Hey Matt, what's going on? Nice to see you today. Thanks for joining the live stream. Got a a Burr question. Let's see if I'm scrolling up to see if he had a question before that. Burr, if you're unfamiliar with Burr, it is it's a strategy that investors use. You buy, you renovate, you refinance, and rent out. Well, actually, you got those two R's mixed up. You buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and then you pull your money out when you refinance and use it for the next rental property. It is a tried and true strategy to accumulate rental properties. I like it. Please bring your question, G. Sonda, would it be wise to purchase a foreclosure townhome at a 4.7 interest rate? That's a good question. So I hate giving general answers, but and I hate giving this answer too. It depends. It depends on what the HOA fee is. Is this going to be a townhouse that you're going to live in? Is it a townhouse you're going to rent out? What's going to be the cash flow on the townhome? Now, yes, I encourage everyone to own, but it has to make sense. And I tell people, if it's going to be an investment property, you want to do great deals. You don't want to do subpar deals or deals that aren't cash flowing you money. You want to do, when you own rental properties or investment properties, you want to do both. You want to make money on the cash flow and you want to make money on the equity. So you want to do, it's all about the numbers. It's just numbers. What is the HOA? What does the HOA include? 4.7 interest rate if it's an investment property. 4.7 historically is not bad. I mean, it's bad compared to past 2 years, but 4.7 is still good. It just really depends on, one, is it owner occupied? Are you going to live in it? Is it going to cash flow if you're renting it out? And look at the neighborhood. Answer one or two more questions, or see if there's one or two more questions. Okay. Gee, this is your question. Does the property go in your name or a private lender name? Oh, always one. I was going to say your name. That's the short answer. But the real answer, and we can get into this in the future, that's what I love to talk about is real estate investing, is you want it to go into a trust. You don't want anything in your name. You want it into a trust so you can protect yourself and you can avoid probate or wills. You want your property in a trust. You want to get secured with the LLC or corporate or S corp, but you definitely want a trust as well. So it depends. If it's a private lender, if it is, I'm assuming it's a buy and hold because you said a Burr question. Now I have in the past where I've done it two ways. If it's a flip property, sometimes the private lender wants their name on it. They want their name on it. So yeah, we buy it in their name. That's perfectly fine. Or the LLC that we control, put it in that. But you said it's a buy and hold. So I would put it into a trust. Hey, what's going on? Michael, hey, I'm in Charlotte. Our price is coming down here. Should I wait to buy or try to get in ASAP? In Charlotte, I say you should try to get in ASAP. Reason why, and this is true for any place where there is an influx of people, because every place in the United States is going to be a little different. But if you're in an area where there's a huge jobs boom, you're going to have a lot of employers coming here and you have a lot of transplants coming here. That's going to cause even more demand and put more strain on inventory. So when you have a lot of demand, low inventory, excuse me, prices are only going to continue to go up. And that's what I foresee. Pricing or home sales may slow down because of inventory and interest rates going up, but I don't see home prices in areas where, again, you have an influx of people and there's a strong jobs market. I don't see home prices coming down. So I say do so sooner than later. And if you're on the verge, real quick, I think this is the last thing I want to go. I'm gonna get one more question because I do want to go over and watch Christina. I invite all of you to go watch Christina Smallhorn. Just type it in YouTube, Christina Smallhorn. Her content is absolutely amazing. At 4:30, I'm gonna go over and watch her myself. But this one point before I get to the last question is, if you're on the fence or if you're, let's say you're pre-approved for a certain amount at 450 at a certain interest rate, do not, I can't tell you what to do exactly, but I would encourage you not to buy new construction, because unless it's already built, ready to go, you can close on it in 30 days. Reason why I say that is because you have a long wait time and we don't know exactly what interest rates are going to do. So you may get pre-approved and go under contract right now for that new construction property, but when it's ready in December and it's already at the top of your budget, you may just have wasted your deposit, your earnest money deposit in North Carolina, because you cannot get qualified for that loan because interest rates went through the roof. So if you're up against a budget with a certain interest rate, do the sure thing, buy a pre-existing home. Yes, it's going to be competitive, but if you want it, you'll find a way. You'll find a way. Last question right here. Join late. I know I've heard the housing market is questionable. No, so they're looking to buy new construction in the Triad area in 2023. Pipe dreamer, is it still possible? I say it is still possible. What a lot of people don't know, or I'm not gonna say a lot of people, but it's not common knowledge, but the Triad area right now is very, very much underdeveloped. Triad area, for those of you unaware, in North Carolina, it's the Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point area. That area is very, very conducive for low mortgages. As far as they have models right now that one builder is selling in that area for about what, 297, but right here in Charlotte, the same exact home is selling for 450. So granted, you're not in Charlotte, but you get the same home. You're still in a, I wouldn't say metropolis, but you have a city. You have three cities. You have Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and it's very affordable. So no, and there's going to be a lot of building going on. Reach out to me. I can put you in contact with the team member if you don't have a real estate agent already, because there's a lot of building taking place in the Triad area in the coming months. But again, they are facing some delays with some supplies. So as long as you are aware of your budget and we can fit something in there, there's going to be tons of opportunities. Well, I'm gonna wrap up here. I appreciate you all for joining me on this live stream. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable. I'm still nervous. Let me know how I did. Please hit that like button, share it. I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you soon.